The next speaker is Dr. Deepa Hansraj Dwivedi, who would be talking about sustaining environment, sharing experiences. The chairpersons are Dr. Mohammad Parvez sir and Dr. Reema Kumari ma'am. Can you please come? Dr. Mohammad Parvez Khan is Professor, Department of Anesthesiology and Core Committee Member, University Environment Department and Horticulture in charge of KGMU. His area of interest is transplant anesthesia. He is also NQAS, is a National Quality Assurance Standards Program of Government of India. He also looks after that program. Dr. Reema Kumari ma'am is professor in the Department of Community Medicine and Public Health, KGMU, Lucknow. She is core committee member of UED KGMU with MBBS from and MD from King George Medical University. And she also conducts the certificate course in healthcare waste management run by IGNU, New Delhi, with a teaching experience of more than 22 years. Welcome. Can I request one of you to please introduce our speaker for today?
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Professor Deepa H. Dwivedi. Presently, she's working as professor in the Department of Horticulture, School of Agriculture, Science and Technology, BBA University. She has done MSc, PhD in Horticulture, GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar. And her main research focus areas are horticulture, crop management, water chestnut, heavy metal, bioaccumulation in plants. And she has authored many national and international articles, books, and chapters. And she has received honors and award and also research grant. With these words, I welcome Professor Deepa Dwivedi and invite for the topic, Sustaining Environment, Sharing Experience. Welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Before I begin, I would like to thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the faculty, and the members of the organizing committee for having given me this opportunity to present this talk here before you. So I think we are moving into a totally different domain, very far away from medical sciences, assessment, curriculum, etc. And I think we're moving towards social responsibility, talking about the environment and, more importantly, how we may sustain the environment. What are the techniques for making our efforts sustainable? So very importantly, this is a wake-up call. All of us need to realize that we're going downhill, and we're going downhill very fast. So first of all, this is what the environment is. This is not anything new to all of you. Till intermediate, all of us have studied it and after that experienced it. So the environment comprises your atmosphere, the gases, what we're breathing, the hydrosphere, the water, and what we're drinking, the lithosphere or the soil, and the biosphere or the human component, the living component, which is contributing now to the environmental degradation to a great extent. So whatever our activities are then changing and modifying this environment in which we are living. And this, as a cyclical effect, would have an impact on our own health systems and our existence. So when we put in pollutants, when we put in effluents into the water, the hydrosphere gets changed, adapted. When we are throwing out spewing fumes into the atmosphere, then obviously the chlorofluorocarbons are polluting our atmosphere. When we're all these water sources are polluting the lithosphere, when we use these water sources for irrigation purposes, or the water which we utilize and then send back into the rivers. So slowly all these chemicals which we are throwing into our water are then being absorbed by the soil also. When we grow our crops on these soils, then in the food chain, these pollutants come back to us, the people who are feeding on these pollutants. So this is what the environment really is, and what is the what you call communication between the various components of the environment. What we are battling with most at the moment is the greenhouse effect leading to the global warming. So what is this greenhouse effect? Thanks to all the effluents which we are throwing out into the atmosphere, it has caused a global warming. It has caused an umbrella to be formed right around the globe, because of which the temperatures or the heat is not able to be sent back into space, thereby maintaining the temperatures around our Earth, leading to global warming. And this, of course, is one of the most detrimental factors which is affecting human life. What are the contributors to this global warming? What are the contributors to the greenhouse effect? So the industrial processes, the power stations, the transportation, which we are doing, the land use, the biomass burning, etc. It also a very small percentage, but the waste disposal, which we are contributing to the environment, is also, an important factor. So global warming has significant impacts. It's increasing the temperature. It's increasing the carbon dioxide levels. Carbon dioxide level increases are good as well as bad. They're bad because they lead to the warming effect, but they're good because they increase the photosynthesis activity and the productivity level of crops, thereby increasing production to be able to feed the growing population on the earth. But global warming is affecting precipitation, not in terms of the quantity of precipitation, but in terms of the distribution of precipitation. Glacial runoff is getting affected, which is increasing because of the global warming, increasing the levels of the rivers and the oceans, which again impacts human life. And then there is an interaction of all these elements which is happening. So what is climate? I don't need to explain all that, but climate change is happening. And what is happening is that all these patterns are getting altered. What is important is that we need to be sensitized that this is happening. Changes are happening in the environment. These changes are happening because of our lifestyle and our living methods. And therefore, we need to wake up to this situation. Global average temperature is just one measure of the impact of this global warming and what it is going to have on the human race per se. But so what is important is small temperature changes are going to result in very big changes overall if we don't wake up in time. So what are these ecological impacts which are happening because of our activities resulting in temperature change? Ecosystems are getting affected in terms of the temperature, rainfall, moisture. Like I said, the pH of the soils is getting affected, because of which the microbial populations existing in this soil would get affected. The crops which you are producing will get affected, and the quality of the crops which are being produced and which we are taking in will get affected. So it's an important thing. Then as a result of climate change, biological activity is getting changed. Living in the mango belt, our forefathers used to get mango over a larger duration, larger period. Today, you will find that by the time June begins, mango starts rolling into the market, and by July end, mango is finished. A lot of this is because of the increased temperature and because of the changing patterns of production. So these changes are getting expressed in the crops, also in the physiology of human beings. It's an important thing. The phytometabolite status of our crops, the bioactive phytometabolites responsible for contributing towards human health when we consume nutrients. So these bioactive phytometabolites in forms of nutraceuticals are also getting modified in their expression, in their quantity, and so many other ways. Therefore, it becomes important that environment should be managed. Other evidences of climate changes are glaciers are retreating very fast. Siachen, they say, has moved a lot towards the Pakistan side, wearing away. Now, there are changes even over the oceans. Our oceans are getting warmer, more in the northern hemisphere than in the southern, possibly because the land masses and human existence is more in the northern hemisphere as compared to the southern. So all the marine ecosystem is getting affected. There is a recent level in the recent rise in sea levels, also in the levels of the rivers. There is an increasing duration of warm nights, and the cold nights are decreasing. We wonder why I'm telling you all these things. We need to understand that all these things are impacting human health. In the medical fraternity, we are talking a lot about how we are going to be curing our, the population. Can we mitigate problems by maybe, managing our environment better is something that we need to worry about. So similarly, the precipitation is decreasing. You may not have heard of cloudbursts of the kind that we have heard recently over Badrinath, Kedarnath. And I remember of a major cloudburst even up north in Ladakh, which is basically a cold arid region, and which actually washed away a major part of the Leh city. Similar cloudbursts and landslides, mountain slides are happening all the time in the Uttaranchal area. So this is something which is important. Global changes occur because of the local impacts. Every unit is contributing to these environmental changes, and this is having a global impact. So this is important. Why is this happening? This is happening because our growth processes have played very scant attention towards replenishing and giving back to the earth and to the environment what we have been taking back from it. We haven't replenished our natural resources, whether it is in terms of water, whether it is in terms of air, or even if it is in terms of soil. Indiscriminate technological developments have been happening. We need to wake up to it. We need to do something to stop this. Therefore, the indications of global warming and climate change need to be taken seriously. What is this vicious cycle of climate change that is happening? This temperature rise is automatically going to have an immediate impact on the human systems and on the other, biological systems in terms of food, water resources, the biodiversity, human settlements, and most importantly, human health. Although the biological systems are constantly adapting themselves to these changes which are occurring. However, all these impacts which are happening on the human systems and the, the society are going to be affecting the socio-economic development that is taking place. Now, this is reciprocal. The socio-economic development in terms of technology, population, governance, management is also going to impact the human and the natural systems. So this is a reciprocal effect. But now these socio-economic development pathways obviously result in a lot of emissions, a lot of pollutants which are causing environmental degradation. And then this environmental degradation leads to a climate change. And so the vicious cycle goes on. And we become a part of this vicious cycle. And we don't want to step out of it. We don't want to take cognizance of this and not talk about mitigating this at all. The impact of climate change is happening in terms of regional weather changes, which is affecting the microbial contamination pathways, transmission dynamics, the agro ecosystems, and the socio-economic demographies affecting health systems. So what do we need to do? We need to have research systems. We need to have certain adaptations which we can enforce. And we need to have certain policies where we can mitigate the environmental effects. G20 recently, with India under the presidency of India, recently the ECSWG has discussed on this very important issue, and points which have come up are that land degradation needs to be arrested. How can that be done is something which needs to be thought about. Biodiversity needs to be enriched. At the moment, let me tell you, we are concentrating, if we talk about horticulture, we are concentrating majorly only on 7 fruit crops as far as research is concerned, as far as cultivation is concerned. So we are talking about mango, we are talking about citrus, which is the oranges, limes, and lemons. We are talking about bananas, grapes, but nowhere are we talking about the underutilized fruit crops like the jamun, falsa, if I talk only about India. And it is these crops which are actually the repositories of the bioactive phytometabolites, which would, be a supporting factor in all the good work that our medical fraternity is doing. So we need to talk about enriching our biodiversity. Every country has its own niche biodiversity, which it can enrich and it should enrich. And we need to accelerate the ecosystem restoration. And that is where kudos to KGMU under its flagship program of environment, where you are talking about greening of the campus and the other green initiatives. So that is one method where we can talk about the restoration of the ecosystem by, incorporating certain techniques along with education or along with part of, teaching, where we can sensitize our students. We can we can organize programs of actually, plantation drives or water management systems, or initiating and setting up water harvesting plants, use of solar energy, which you are already doing in institutions. In this way, we can talk about restoration of our ecosystems and, judicious utilization of our natural resources, which would lead to promoting a sustainable and a resilient climate. They talk about, the G20 talks about blue economy, but which is basically about the marine ecosystem. But let's not restrict ourselves to that. As soon as we have a sustainable environment, we have a vibrant and a thriving ecosystem all through, not just the marine ecosystem. So resource efficiency and setting up a circular economy is perhaps the key to be able to developing a sustainable environment for our coming generations. And what is this circular economy? It concentrates on reusing, repairing, refurbishing, primarily recycling. So what is important is we understand, our students understand. While we teach medicine, we also teach our students that to use judiciously, to conserve resources, to recycle to the best of our capacity is what needs to be done. So existing materials and products should be reused to a greater extent so that their life can be extended. And they're not just adding to making, not just adding to becoming a dump on our earth, not just becoming a burden on the earth, is something that we need to understand. We as human beings can contribute primarily by moderating our approaches in agriculture through better water management practices, whether we are talking about water harvesting and replenishing the soil groundwater, whether we are talking about use of modern techniques of watering, even at a home scale level, rather than watering with a pipe, maybe we could use micro irrigation systems, set up drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation, which uses less water, or even if we talk about remediation of the water which we have used. So even at hospital levels, all the effluents which you are using up, all the liquid effluents could be recycled and could be remediated by the various techniques, whether microbial, whether phytoremediation, whether chemical remediation, or any other method. And thus it would add. So then energy sources, we should be using more of the new renewable energy resources rather than depending upon fossil fuels, rather than depending upon many other methods. Transportation, in our university, we have a very nice system where we say a no vehicle day on Wednesday. So that one day, nobody in the university uses their vehicles and they come and park it in one parking area. And after that, either we move on foot or we have e-rickshaws plying in the university, which the faculty and the students use. So in this way, we contribute one little bit towards trying to, conserve this. Pollution remediation, I've already told you about. Biological conservation is a very important aspect. Now, some food for thought, please, we need to understand. I remember when I was studying in class 12th, we studied that the composition of the atmosphere was 21% oxygen and 330 parts per million of carbon dioxide. Today, we have reached 421 parts per million. And this carbon dioxide is a major contributor towards global warming. Also, this increase in carbon dioxide again is a major reason or major repercussion of global warming. So it's a two-pronged devil, which we have to be careful about. So we have to somehow talk about carbon sequestration, and the best method is plantation. Increasing green cover across the globe is the only method of overcoming a lot of these hazards which are happening. So afforestation and reforestation is perhaps the only answer. So widespread plantation drives, not only plantation drives, even the selection of plants which you are planting is important. I'd like to draw your attention to this point. Today, you will see cities, city development, smart cities, they're putting up ornamental trees in like Gulmohar, like Kanak Champa. Aap Shahid Path par jaiye, you will see one particular area of, that Gomti Nagar stretch where they have only Kanak Champa. So I'm not saying Kanak Champa is not good. I'm not saying Gulmohar is not good. But what is more important is that these species are more ornamental rather than useful and beneficial for these factors of changing the environment or remediating the environment. So the selection of our crops should be important. Kanak Champa does not give us any shade. It does not give us any organic matter which rejuvenates our soil. So which are the crops that we should talk about? You may have seen our highways in the older days used to have plants like pakad, ficus glomerata, gular. All right. It used to have banyan trees. We used to have peepal trees. So these are crops which are, number one, throwing back oxygen into the atmosphere. It's increasing the soil moisture level because it has the tendency to develop a jal kalash at its roots. So it increases the groundwater level, and therefore the choice of crops becomes very important when we go in for a plantation drive, even at institutional levels, right? Even in a room like this, we have various pollutants. In this closed room, we have pollutants. Maybe we may feel there are no pollutants here, but there are. So we need to have ornamental plants here, maybe, yes. Plants like the syngoniums that this committee is giving as mementos. So syngonium is a very good plant which absorbs aerosols. Then areca palms, sansevieria, peace lily, pothos. All these plants are very beneficial. and they could be used for, improving the internal environments in your hospitals to improve the mental status and to provide a little bit of psychological, benefits. You could have plants somewhere. I mean, I'm not an authority on that. I cannot say that what impact that would have on your patients and your the other important, parameters which you take care of in hospitals. But yes, so not going into too much detail, what is most important is planting of trees is important. I will leave you with this last slide, which tells you the difference of temperature under a tree where there is soil, where there is grass in shade, gravel under the shade of a tree, asphalt or your road in shade of a tree. And on the other side, technological development that we are very fast moving into, 67 degrees centigrade on the asphalt, 60 degrees on the sidewalk, and 42 degrees centigrade on the grass. So please wake up, every one of you plant a tree. In our university, any occasion, in every occasion, whether it is Independence Day, whether it is Republic Day, whether it is Buddha Jayanti, whether it is, anything, we go in for a plantation drive, and we have a plantation pakhwada where every faculty, our vice chancellor, every student is doing that. We talk about Mata Bhumi, Putroham Prithvaya. So the earth is like our mother, and we must deal with it like a son would. So please take care of your earth through the initiative, through your green initiative. Let us save our environment. There are various techniques. Waste management is one. Segregation of the waste, sensitization of students towards waste management is something. We do a lot of vermicomposting with the leaf litter that we collect from under trees. We do composting, biodynamic composting. That is some initiative which can be taken. Then water harvesting, I already told you, renewable energy resources may be used. And that is it. Who is at risk of climate change? Please, everybody, everywhere. So that is it. Thank you so much.
No questions. Thank you, madam, for drawing our attention to this utmost importance issue. Continuously taking your help in improving the atmosphere and the environment of KGMU. Actually, your talk can be summarized only in one sentence. Whatever we are doing to the environment today, it will do to us tomorrow. Okay? So thank you again for this talk. And we'll keep.
Among the 17 goals, 7 goals are being set for the climate, for sustaining the environment, like climate action, recycling plastic, then life below sea, life on land, right? And affordable and efficient energy. So out of 17 goals, 7 goals are for the sustenance of the environment change. Right. So every country is working on the action plan regarding the environment. Thank you so much.
Just a small comment. I also couldn't stop myself. Healthcare industry contributes the most to the greenhouse effect. Carbon footprint are the highest for the health industry. If you combine aviation industry and the shipping industry, combined, we are higher. I see, because I am a surgeon. So any case, we generate a large amount of disposable waste, tremendous amount. The small surgeries, everyone is wearing gloves and taking out in 1 minute. पहना उतारा, किसी को कहा कैथेटर निकाल दो पेशेंट का, तुरंत एक नई सिरिंज खोली, खड़ाक से कैथेटर निकाला. The bucket gets 5-6 bucket, one case. All disposable gowns, everything disposable. We are, the OTs, all are air conditioned, 24 hours, so many lights. One surgery that you do, the patient comes 5 times from Gonda, visits 2 people coming from Gonda just for one surgery. The day of surgery, 5 attendants are there, traveled from Gonda to KGMC. So they are coming for follow-up. So one surgery you are doing, the amount of greenhouse effect that we are generating is tremendous. So just a small point that I thought I'll share. Thank you.